Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video, we're going to be doing this Mojo Monday sketch. You can pause here and take down the measurements. Now if this is your first time, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that way you get alerts whenever I upload new content. All right, so you can pause here as well, get your measurements, and then join me at the table. We're going to continue on using the 6x6 pattern paper. Now, here's the cool part. Like, even though this is a slimline style card, we're still going to be able to use the 6x6 paper. The key is if it's longer, right? You can find places where you can extend it. Like if it didn't work with this particular sketch size, right? Like say the paper needed to be 6.5. Even though this is 6 inches, I could cut it, and where those papers are on the right hand side, I could potentially just create space between behind it and get my paper as long as I would need it to be. Make sense? So there's tons of possibilities. Now, I just put in the white cardstock on the inside of the card because there's going to be lots of layers on the top, and I want to make sure that it's weighted properly. So we're just going to start with our bottom piece of paper. So what I did is for each level, except, well, no, even for the sentiment, I kind of did too. I have a mat, okay? Which is what we're I guess we'll call it like more of the cranberry colored is our matte paper, okay? And this one we're literally just building it up right up on the card base because sometimes I like to put pattern paper down, but when it's a little bit too big for the size for the 6x6 paper, I just omit it and I'll do the other pieces right on top of the the card. So that is an option for you guys. If you don't have enough of the pattern paper to have as a background, like as a base, don't worry about it. Just do the parts of the sketch right on top of the card base itself, and the card base becomes that solid element. All right. So we're going to lay this piece down. And I'm using that wet glue to give me a little bit of time. I was holding up the card to make sure that it was even, spacely, all the way around. So if I needed to move it up or adjust, that wet glue would have given me a few minutes or a few seconds where I could have done that and not messed up my card base. So for this piece, we're going to go ahead and attach it to the mat as well. And my mats, I always do 1/8 of an inch. You can, if you like it better, use a 1/4 inch if you want to. It's up to you. So what I'm doing here is I'm laying down some foam squares because I knew I wanted to show you guys an option where you show height. Because the first one I did flat. I just glue straight to the card, and you'll see that in a second. And you're probably thinking, okay, T, that's a bit obsessive there with the... Is it obsessive? Like, it's just too much. But there's a reason. There's a part in where it's above and below that if I didn't put the foam squares in the right spot, it's uneven. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure where I lay it that I'm putting it in the right spot. You know what I mean? And that there's no sagging. That's the other key, because I think sometimes people put the foam around the edges and we forget about the center. And the center is important too because you don't want it to be strong and then like weak in the middle. Okay, so now I'm just kind of fixing my edges because it was a little bit fuzzy. And now I'm going to attach this one. So on the one side, it's going to be glued straight to the paper. And on the other, I'm going to put a thin, see I'm cutting it there, 2 thin pieces of the foam. Because I want it to be the same height as the the other piece. So we're going to go like that, and boom, we'll have it. It'll be fine. So I'm going to put some tape on the open spot where it's going to attach to the pattern paper, the piece we had just put down, add a little bit of glue on that portion, and then I'm even going to put a little bit of glue on the foam, because remember, I want time to be able to make sure I'm putting it in the right position and everything is lining up. There we go. I mean, already that's a fun little pattern, right? And we're using multiple patterns from the collection, and those mats help keep them separate, which means you can have busy paper and it can still be calm and not crazy. So we put foam on the back of our circle. We're going to add a little bit of that glue. And then we're going to go ahead and place it on. And I made my circle a little bit smaller only because I like the way it looks. You can do whatever you want. If you want to make a bigger circle, do a bigger circle. It's okay. I just wanted to have something of a mat behind it. So I had to go buy the punches that I own. So that's why I had to do that size. And then I grabbed Pink Fresh Studios. They have these beautiful gold, like pearl shaped, like flat pearl shape, and I was like, this will go perfectly with this set. So we're going to go ahead and glue the 3 sizes down of that, small, medium, and the large. And we're just going to use a little bit of glue. And I'm going to tell you, not having the fine line tip on this particular bottle, it's hard to like measure your glue little dots, but if you have the fine line, you're going to be okay. Just without it, practice. Because sometimes I get just enough out, and sometimes it's like, ooh, avalanche. Okay, so we'll move this one up. And then this is the one that we did flat to the card. See? The sentiment is still lifted up, but the actual, those pieces on the right are flat. And it still gives you the same feeling, the same impact. It just depends on what you want to do. That's one of the things I love about card making, because you can do it so many different ways to add a little umphs, you know, depending on what you like. You can add dimension, you can take dimension away, you can add tons of sparkle, you can do little sparkle. So there's just so many options. Thank you guys for joining me today. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Leave comments down below, because I do enjoy reading the comments you guys leave. And I will see you with our next video. Have a great weekend.